Pablo Picasso said, not me, that every child is a born artist. But as soon as they start growing up, they lose that artistry. Apart from blood pressure, blood sugar, and thyroid, do you have anything? Having blood pressure, blood sugar, and thyroid is normalized. I mean, that though you will have, but why will you have? And even if you have it, you can reverse it. But people do not talk about how to reverse it.
Can you share an experience where you could able to transform someone's life through this expressive art therapy?
You can never talk it out because stress is never in the mind to talk out. Stress is always sitting in the body.
He improved a lot. He again was back on track.
I'm so happy and so delighted to hear this experience. It's the eye of the leader. And I know myself so many people who have reversed all these things and even greater and graver things than this. So it is possible. But the system doesn't want you to be independent of medication because it's a big business.
Don't you think that going to a therapist for stress or for whatever the mental issue is still a stigma to the society? This episode is supported by our guest experience partner, Sona Cakes and Bakes, a Kolkata-based FSSAI certified home bakery known for its customized and delicious cakes, which they deliver with care across the city. They have helped us curate and create a thoughtful and memorable experience for our guest today. Welcome to Bridging Ideas. Today we have Angira with us. Angira is the founder of Healing Rhyyithm, established in 2015, an innovative initiative that integrates expressive arts therapy to promote emotional and mental well-being. Through a unique blend of counseling techniques, creative movement, dance movement therapy, sound healing, art therapy, meditation, and mindfulness, she creates safe spaces for ITC, Tata Steel, Aditya Birla Group, Star Cement, Dabur, Electro Steel, Captain Steel, Imami, BITS Pilani, Presidency College, St. Xavier's College, and many more. She holds an MSc Tech in Bioinformatics and is a trained Odissi dancer with over 20 years of performing experience. She discovered her true calling in the creative well-being arts and has skillfully channeled her passion for movement into a powerful healing modality that continues to inspire and transform lives. I am your host, Supriyo, and let's get started. Welcome to the show, today's episode of Bridging Ideas. Angira?
Thank you so much for inviting me at Bridging Ideas. Thank you so much.
We discussed a lot of things about your journey. Can you take us back to your childhood?
Very interesting childhood, I would say. I come from a family of artists, musicians, and I went to a very good school where art and culture were pushed at. It was not only the academics that were important. And I grew up in a very culturally rich house where Rabindra Sangeet, dance, art were part of natural upbringing. And I think that is very common in any Bengali household, that you have to learn something. So I grew up in that kind of a culture. Education was important, but it was not the only thing. And thanks to my school, my alma mater, which also pushed that, you excel in anything that you want to do, especially art. So my childhood was interesting. Grew up in a lot of music, dance, art, and I had this exposure to experience different forms of art. That is how I would say my childhood was.
From those days, you were more inclined into, along with your education, like typical Bengali households, everybody want their child to be there, either in art, either in music, and that's the trend typically we have. You are a kind of person today. From childhood, if I ask you what exactly shaped you the way you are today, What had the most influence on that?
Feel that art definitely is a very big thing, very part of who I am.
So when you say art, is it which format of art? Is it a
Dance, music, singing, visual art, painting. So art is something which has been an integral part of who I am. And with time, I would say also people. I have always been an ardent lover of people, their stories, who they are, why they behave in a certain way. So I've always had a lot of curiosity about different kinds of people, why they behave in a certain way, the cultural impact. I didn't know back in those days what are belief systems.
Of course.
These are called belief systems, how upbringing influences. But I used to see that, at a very innate or core level, all human beings are very similar. Yet, there are so many differences which the geographical location shaped, or which the cultural background shaped. I found that topic is to come, the unity in diversity, which you used to write the 20 marks essay. So that unity in diversity, I think I've seen this diversity, and at the same time I found that there's an amazing thread of commonness, unity. And I would associate all these things in my own head. I didn't know what I'm actually growing up to, but this has been my area of interest, art and people.
From that art and people, now today you are one of the mental health practitioner, rather coach, and expressive art therapist. But if I see the discussion which we had off the screen, your education is more on microbiology. So from microbiology to the profession you are in is a huge shift. It's completely different than what you did into the education and than what you are pursuing today. How this shift happens? What drew you into this profession from after having the grad in microbiology?
So I've studied microbiology for my graduation, and then I've studied bioinformatics for my master's. And I love the bodies, how the mechanism of the body, the hormones, the neurons, how this entire chemistry of a person rules a person's mood, their well-being. So this has been my core interest. So when I took microbiology, that is life under microscope, and I started studying about bacteria, virus, pathogens, and I learned that, okay, these are a different world altogether, but I was more interested into the macrobiology than the microbiology. So while doing that, I realized that I'm more interested in human beings, human minds, human bodies than the microorganisms. Thereafter, I studied bioinformatics. And again, it was another subject where I figured out that no, this doesn't align with the person who I am or what I want to do in life. It didn't feel I couldn't connect to it. I didn't feel aligned to the subject. So from there had been a long haul of going through experiments, finding out what I want to do, that my heart would feel alive and aligned to. And after a long, long search of around 11 years, I figured out what I'm doing today. And that has also been like a step-by-step discovery. It was not like at one go.
The area you are into now, mental health, expressive art therapy, maybe for many of the audiences who are listening this episode today, expressive art therapy may be something the term they're hearing it for the first time. Probably not everybody is aware of it. How do you describe this for someone who is hearing it for the first time? What is expressive art therapy?
As the word is there, the moment, okay, there are three words, expressive arts therapy. So let me talk about art. The moment we hear the word art, we believe that art is either it is dance or music or instruments or say sculpture or instruments, percussion. So all these are art forms. And the moment we think about it, we think of a person pursuing these forms, and there is a finished product that they put up on stage or in an art gallery. So there is always a final outcome of an art form. That is what we aim for. But when we talk about expressive arts, then we are not really looking at a final product. We are focusing on the process. Then it doesn't have to be good. Like a person has to be a good dancer to be on the stage. A person has to be a good artist to really put a show or an art gallery. When it comes to expressive arts therapy, it is nothing to do with what comes out at the final end product, because the process helps release the person all those unsaid, unexpressed stuff that remains stored in the mind through the form of art. So the moment one can release that, therefore the word therapy comes. It has got that impact that it works on your well-being. Therefore, expressive arts is not about the product, but the process. Anyone can try it. One doesn't have to be good at it.
If you're saying that it's not about the end product, then I must say that is it more than the end product or end goal? Is it some sort of transformation? Is it some sort of journey
It is.
through which people will experience their transformation?
Absolutely.
It's not that somebody is getting enrolled into a gym, knows that after 6 months, 1 year, there will be a six-pack. That's the end goal. But very rarely people can notice that, okay, my muscles are being built. That's not the case here. It's a little different, you're saying.
No, it is something very similar. You go through a process. One day of an expressive arts therapy, one can just take a sneak peek of how a session can look like. But to really go through the transformation, one has to go through this process where you can layer by layer release all those years of unspoken, unaware things which are getting stored in the system. So that you find a way, a medium to release those things. And the best part is it also doesn't get released to get diagnosed or analyzed. It gets released and you just witness it, you observe it without any kind of judgments that, okay, this person has used a lot of black color. That means there is a lot of toxicity in the mind or anger. No, there's no judgment in it. It's just holding space for people to feel safe so that they can release all the pent up emotions where we don't even know how to express it through words. Because words, if you go by the statistics, is just about 7%. The rest, 93%, is expression through tonality, your body, your expressions. So we are tapping into that 93% where you are releasing stuff where you can't even put a name to. Because often when we feel low, we don't really know what kind of low it is. It is like that, just cloudy today. Is it low? Is it melancholy? You're missing someone? Or is it generally low because the sun is not out? And then we don't have to diagnose or find an appropriate name, because there cannot be an appropriate name, because one person's low will be very different from the other person's low.
Very true.
So art can come as a huge medium to let you out that sense of feeling low without having put a tag or a judgment or a name that this means this. It doesn't have to mean anything. You just speak it out.
What I meant in the example of gym, going to a gym and pursuing this. In gym, you know that, okay, after 6 months, 1 year, my muscle will be built and this will be visible. But you are working to a segment where this is an invisible segment. You are working for emotions, you're working for hormones. Right? This is not the visible part. The person who decide to pursue the journey, I'm sure there has to be much more patience level, because these changes are not immensely visible like going to the gym.
No, as you are saying, it's very right, some parts of it, because you will immediately not see your six packs or your biceps and triceps growing and a fuller body. But there will be those intangible shifts that are happening in your biochemistry, which will lead to a tangible shift, which is your improved sleep, your skin will be better, your digestion will be better, your mood will be better. You will be waking up much more inspired. You will be much more a joyful person. So there will be a tangible shift. Because if something intangibly is shifting, it's just not like, okay, let's believe I'm getting better, but I don't see my life as a better. No, there will be.
It's not only the manifestation, more
It's
than
both.
that. It's
Your
both.
relationship, your interpersonal relationships will improve. If you used to lose your fuse, get angry at like 3 seconds, 3, 2, 1, and you have blown your top, then you will become much more calm. You start understanding, okay, this person is saying from here, I can take a pause. I will not react, I will respond. So, of course, there will be a tangible shift when you are doing that. It starts intangibly, but then it shows tangibly.
But then this expressive art therapy, is it for everyone? Like what I meant is, say for example, I'm a person from finance, which is a very hardcore segment. So is it for me, like the person has to be artistic to pursue it, or is it like for everyone?
Pablo Picasso said, not me, that every child is a born artist.
True.
But as soon as they start growing up, they lose that artistry. I'm paraphrasing it. So, the artistic quality, that creativity that we mean as an artist, is innate in every human being. Now, some people, they decide to pursue it as a career, and therefore we put that stamp on this person that they are very creative. But every human being is very creative, because every child is born creative. But then, because of belief system, the society, the way environment shapes us, we start losing our creativity. Or probably, I start calling myself, I am not a dancer, I cannot sing, this is not for me. I am happy to be on the other side of the, stage.
Yeah.
I am happy as an audience, let the people perform. But one doesn't have to be a performer. We confuse between artist and a performer.
Sure.
Artists, we all are. Performer, some choose it as a profession, and some can remain a banker, a lawyer, a politician. Everyone is doing their work in their most creative way. And the biggest example of creativity is anxiety. I mean, what is anxiety? You are actually building stories which you are constantly imagining
Back of our mind.
back of your mind, and reimagining it, and again thinking from this way and that way, what could happen, what could have happened. All these are what? Nothing but our creative energy
Right.
utilized in the most wrong way. What is anxiety? That is only a human being can have anxiety. So that is coming from where? Their creative energy. They're creating stories in their mind and they're suffering.
No, but
So-
they say that every animal, they have some sort of stress, they have some sort of anxiety. It's just that they cannot express like human. That is also said.
Yes, stress is happening at the body. Okay, stress starts at the mind, but it gets stored in the body. So we have this common line saying that stress starts at psychology, but it sits in the physiology. Stress is not stuck in the head. Stress is stuck in the body. And what is stress? So if we go by class 7, 8 physics definition, where it is an external force which when implemented on an object, it changes the shape and form. So stress is an external pressure that is coming. It could be at the moment, petrol prices are rising, LPG, we do not know what is going to happen. So COVID, the undercurrent of politics or competition in your office, these are the external factors that are coming. But how I am responding to it? What is my inner bandwidth? Am I crumbling to that pressure? Or I have my inner resilience to withstand that pressure, will define how I'm coping with it. So because that is happening at the body. Because when we hear something like this is happening, there is war, prices rising, then our survival brain, that is the reptilian brain, which is only meant for survival, that is to keep us safe and alive, that starts working. And for at any situation, that brain would want to keep us safe. Therefore, the brain will start figuring out ways how to protect you. And the first thing that the brain does to the body, is to constrict yourself, because we are coming from the jungles, so from the animals. The animal, when a deer would meet a tiger, the only way, before the deer decides to fight or flight, the deer would first freeze and figure out that how big the threat is. It's smaller than me, can I fight it, or is bigger than me, should I run away? So in this process, we still have that system inbuilt in us. We are hardwired to feel like that. So we go through that freeze. But we have a part of brain which other animals do not have. We have the neo-mammalian cortex, which is the prefrontal lobe. That helps us decide that no, okay, we can breathe. I have so many things that I can do in my domain. I don't know what is going to happen, but I can take care of things that are in my hand. That is how we can bring in safety, restore safety to the body and thereby to the mind. Because the mind is designed to feel unsafe with the ongoing things. It's very interesting that stress, people keep talking about these days without really understanding what stress is. Because a person is going to, say, a therapist or a counselor and deciding to talk out the stress. You can never talk it out, because stress is never in the mind to talk out. Stress is always sitting in the body. So one has to do something which integrates the body and mind to really release the stress completely.
Whenever stress happens, the one part of the brain says that freeze, completely freeze. Another part tries to make it more ease through breathing, through whatever the process is. Don't you think that going to a therapist for stress or for whatever the mental issue is still a stigma to the society? We don't feel any shy or anything difficult to say that, okay, I have fever, I'm going to a doctor. But the moment I'm stressed, the moment I have a lot of things piled up in my mind, and if I'm going to the therapist, I always try to hide it from the society. Why there is a stigma? Or if there is a stigma, what do you think about it to overcome or to have a better
Because
thing?
sadly, the body and mind has been divided. And we look at body-based diseases as, okay, you can have a knee problem and go to a physiotherapist and take thrice a week physiotherapy. But if you go to somebody to talk about the fact that you're feeling low, you're not getting sleep over some thoughts, or you are having anger issues, then you feel that you will be tagged as, I'm crazy, I'm weak, that I need someone else's help, I'm not normal, people will judge me. So all these things are happening because body and mind has been separated.
Right.
But we are one system. We are not body and mind, we are body mind. So anything that will happen at the body level will happen at the mind level, and vice versa. It's a both-way traffic. But there is someone called Descartes, and he wanted to experiment on the bodies. He was an anatomist. So how could he find out bodies? It's not Munna Bhai who tells circuit that circuit ek body la. So in those days, the bodies belonged to the bodies were only available at the church, at the graveyard. And the graveyard belongs to the church. And the head of the church was the Pope. So what he did, he wanted to figure out what is the anatomy. So he wanted to dig the grave up and get some bodies.
Get the body.
But the church will not allow. So what he did, he went to the Pope and said that, Father, you keep the soul, just give me the body. So he is the first person who made that body mind as two separate things. That a mind can be kept by the church, and you give me the body, I'll work on it. And we are actually fighting this entire dichotomy, or this binary of body and mind. Binaries are only with computers, 0 and 1. It's not for human beings, because human beings are one system, body, mind, spirit. It's actually not even body mind. It's body mind and your
That's
that
right,
that
yeah.
that factor. So somebody calls it soul, somebody calls it energy, somebody calls it spirit. But there is one factor, we know that. But sadly, it has been separated. This doctor is only taking care of the body. This doctor is taking care of the mind. No, we need one holistic, one system. Everything can be addressed at one go. If you have digestion problem for a very long time, you will feel irritated after a point.
Yes, of course.
And the reverse is also true. If you are irritated for a very long time, you will end up having acidity.
Hardest truth is nobody thinks like a way. Likewise.
Because that has been marketed. Because if a person, one, though you, out of shame, you don't want to talk about that you are feeling low. Two, the society hyper connectivity. When people can connect over an internet and this hyper connective world with content overload, you're sitting in some corner of the world, you get to know what is happening at the other part of the world in few seconds, which was not available earlier. So there is so much of information available. There is so much of content overload, and people feel much more powerful when they are well informed. But what is happening in this process to just load yourself with more information, people are getting more and more away from each other. And human beings are designed to be in a community. We are not designed to have isolated lives. Because during COVID, if you go by the research, the amount of people who died by COVID, way more passed away because of mental health issues. Because we are designed to stay together, to pat our own backs, to share a meal. We are not designed to be by ourselves. Harvard University, they've done an amazing research and they've called something called friendship recession. So people are not sharing meals these days. People are not connected. They're more connected. They're updated. I would call it they're updated.
They are connected by digitally, not by
not physically. And they're not really connected at the heart level, at the bonding level. They're connected as in like they all know what is happening at each other's life. That is also coming from, an undercurrent of competition, FOMO, not falling back. So people are really updated but not connected. And that is leading to so much of mental health crisis in today's time, and there is also a stigma around it where people do not want to talk about it. So we are in a very chaotic situation.
Coming back to your story, when you said that the person who used to get the requested the bodies from the Pope, from that church, and then what was the outcome and what it led into?
It led to this division of body and mind.
Okay.
It led to the chaos that we are dealing with. That's why a person, when goes to a doctor to treat a stomach bug or a fever, do not feel shy that I'm not coming to office because I'm running 102 degrees. But a person won't be able to say that I'm not feeling well today mentally. I'm not up to face people. I won't be able to say. Because the mind and body has been, one, separated, and two, something to do with the mind is looked down upon. You will be judged. You will be thought as crazy, as not normal. Therefore, people lie, people hide, people say that I'm having a fever, because you won't be judged for having a fever. You can have a fever. But you can't feel low.
You cannot be low.
Then there is some problem. That's the society. That's how the world thinks. Yeah. But I would say it's still getting better. After COVID, people have started coming out, talking about that it is okay to not feel okay. There are chemicals that go haywire, and it's okay to go through.
I remember I was saying there's a trend going on. It's okay not to be okay. That trend is going.
But it's not okay to continue to be not okay.
Yeah, that should be addressed.
That should be addressed.
Yeah. And what are the signs you feel that people, the first warning signs, the early signs, people usually ignore? It could be because of burnout. It could be because of so and so reasons. But what are the early signs people usually ignore, which given that they wouldn't ignore it, probably it would lead to a better solution, maybe faster recovery? What are those signs?
The first thing is how do I wake up? Do I wake up and feel inspired? Do I look forward to the day? Do I look forward to a week of work? And then also, do I look forward to the weekend? I mean, either way, am I looking forward to go to my workspace? Am I looking forward to go back to home, spend time with family members? So these are first things. How is my gut health? Because the recent researchers are saying that the gut is called the second brain. So if you are constantly having gut issues, that means there is something going wrong in your mind, because the body is responding to it. If somebody is constantly having acidity, acid reflux, so normalize having a pandy in the morning. It's normalized because that's how after a point you should have it. Why? It shouldn't be normalized.
But people take it as normal. That okay, after one certain age, maybe this is normal.
You go to a doctor these days and they ask you that apart from blood pressure, blood sugar and thyroid, do you have anything? Having blood pressure, blood sugar and thyroid is normalized. I mean, that though you will have. But why will you have? And even if you have it, you can reverse it. But people do not talk about how to reverse it. They talk about making you a lifetime member of that medicine shop where you would be buying those few medicines for the rest of your life.
And that would be part of your monthly grocery list.
Oh, yes.
Right?
It's just a subscription, another lifetime membership. That's why we are not taught that how blood pressure, hypertension can be reversed. And I know myself so many people who have reversed all these things and even greater and graver things than this. So it is possible. But the system doesn't want you to be independent of medication because it's a big business. I am a big fan of modern medicine because the way modern medicine or diagnosis can find out your problem, the other things, other modalities which are so-called today called alternate, takes much more time. So modern medicine has its own pluses. At the same time, suppose someone is having a 160 or 170 by 90 pressure or suddenly 95, it has gone to that high. At that time, you can't be telling that take a deep breath in, go for a walk. At that time, modern medication can really help address that high pressure, which can lead to a sudden damage or a permanent damage, something more fatalistic it can happen.
And then this modern medicine you are referring to?
The allopathy. Yes. So it's amazing to do that immediate acute issue which can handle. After your pressure has been taken care of, what is sad about modern medicine is people do not really look deeper within that, okay, what stress am I going through that led to this hypertension? Then they are made dependent on that medication for the rest of their life. For immediate assistance, modern medication is excellent. But for a lifetime dependency, I think there are ways to reverse it, and one must, I usually do not use this word, should and must, but one must explore other avenues to check that, how can you reverse the so-called permanent conditions that you are calling. They are not permanent, they are highly reversible.
The modern medicine is better for, like, if somebody has a fire, it's good to stop the fire. But if the fire happens second time, then people should look at why it is happening again and again. So while this is good for immediate stop, but to prevent it, I think the therapy works much better way.
Absolutely. At that time, you have to call the, fire people, cease fire. You can't be sitting and thinking that, okay, what led? But then after you've taken care of the fire, why do you wait for the second time? You actually distance yourself and think that, okay, did I keep the gas open? Were there some inflammables? That is where you start taking measures.
Yes, so let's put that.
But that is somewhere not told. Because then there's a huge money involved in the pharmaceuticals that will be.
Today's world is digitally connected. Now people are more connected. Even if you see a group of friends sitting in a room, but they hardly talk to each other, they all are in their mobile. What do you think, that technology is doing anything for the well-being, for the mankind?
I cannot say that technology is not helping people. It has its own contribution. It's just that we have to know how to use it. We are using, overusing, abusing it. It is taking human beings away from each other. It is not supposed to do that. It was designed to increase connectivity, make our lives easier, but it has so many downsides to it. Earlier, we used to go to the bazaar, figure out what to buy. Now, we just have to move one finger. That is also a part of the finger. We click and we can get things home. Our movement has got restricted. Our choices, we think, we are that way going to a more advanced world. But looking at human beings, I feel this is not really advancing a human quality. We are not being able to enjoy the benefit of a digitalized world. We are actually devolving, the opposite of evolving. We are devolving as human beings. Connections are going. At a dinner table, everyone is sitting to eat dinner together and everyone is stuck to their gadgets. So how good gadgets and technology is doing? If that is the time you're not talking and discussing how your day was, then what's the point of technology? It's supposed to bring people closer and not take you away.
Yeah. The devices are not actually making the humans connected. Maybe through a different world, but not in-person connect.
It is not.
Heart-to-heart connect.
It is not.
It's not. Whenever we think of some sort of therapy, probably we don't even understand what kind of therapy it is. And we, people, think of, anticipate things, right? That, therapy could be a mental health. Is it a psychiatric problem? Right? They don't even know what it is, but then we oftentimes tend to anticipate things. Can you share an experience where you could able to transform someone's life through this expressive art therapy, through this journey of expressive art therapy? Somebody was in pain or somebody was going through a tough times, but through this journey, you were able to make someone's life transformed.
I couldn't transform anybody's life. People, whoever, yes, there had been many, many success stories, and whoever transformed their lives is because they wanted to. I am rather grateful to them that they gave me an opportunity and they trusted the process. They gave me an opportunity to hold space for them, be there as their safety net, and they, without knowing so much about it, or these processes are still very called niche. Not many people talk about it, and yet they trusted the process, and that's why they could go through that transformational experience. So whatever I'm going to share today is because all these people who took that leap of faith in the process. So yes, there had been quite a number of experiences that I have personally encountered.
Can you share a few of them?
Yes, definitely. A lot of times, the most common thing that I have experienced with people, which might sound simple, but which brings the biggest aha moment in people's life, is that what they had been thinking is bothering them. When they start delayering themselves, going through a process of movement or art or voice work, they actually figure out something else was bothering them. And that aha moment on their faces and that realization that, okay, this is what is bothering me and not what I actually have been thinking. Because we build so many stories, and whatever happening now becomes at the top layer, but there could be an underlying story that is the real cause of that issue. So that delayering, figuring out, actually this is sitting in my body and this is the core issue, but I thought I'm actually upset with her or angry with her. But no, as I go through the process of expressive art, I realize that these were just stories that has come along the way. The real issue is something else. So that has been one of the most common high points of any kind of session like this, where people go to the root very fast. The second thing that I have experienced is so non-intrusive. When I do sessions in groups, metaphorically, we address a lot of things. Suppose someone is saying that I'm carrying a stone, a boulder. Someone says I'm a suitcase. In a conversational session or counseling session, which is mostly about talk therapy, where a person will have to probably go through that baggage and, you know, unwrap it. And there are many people who are not initially very comfortable to talk about their burdens, what they feel as a baggage. But in expressive arts therapy, with the help of metaphors, we can easily talk about a suitcase or a boulder, or I feel I'm chained to a stone, without having to dissect what the stone is or the suitcase is to the therapist. And you feel safe because you are going through a story, some metaphor, and yet you are learning how to unchain yourself, or how to, you know, make your baggage lesser, lighter, or whether to drop it or to carry along the way. So whatever it comes, but you don't have to exactly talk about what the suitcase is carrying. At times people do not even know what is there, but they feel so good that I don't have to talk about that opening, unpacking. So that non-intrusivity is also a very big high point in my sessions, where they don't have to really dig the kachra and yet can get rid of the kachra. So that is two things. I'm sharing very generic high points. Specific, I would say someone had boundary issues. So cognitively understanding boundary, and when you bring in the body into account and really define that line, which is your safe space and you are the boss of that space, and how people have worked on that. I mean, anybody, again, I've gone from a specific to a generic because this has been one of my high points of my session, that knowing that, you know, I need to draw boundary, and in contrast to knowing cognitively and actually doing the body work of laying that boundary line around you, nicely, politely asking people who have already encroached inside to leave your space and to define that. I think, again, that has been a very big high points of expressive arts work that I have been doing.
When you say in your session, the way you conduct the session, and you conduct the session as a group, for a group, and also one-to-one individual basis. The person who is taking the session, will they having be a timeline? Okay, I have to go through a 3 months of journey or 6 months of journey. Is it like a structure that you cannot miss a single session like that, or is it a free flowing?
So ideally in the West, it is highly structured. But because of lack of awareness in India, as of yet, if you really bind a person into a 3 months or a 6 months modality, people might feel overwhelmed, because to come to a dance movement therapy session, a lot of people still think that it is a dance class and they are coming for physical fitness where they want to lose weight. So these kind of misunderstandings are still there. So to understand that this is a process, this is something that will help me de-layer my emotions, know myself better. These things are possible only at this juncture of time. 10 years down the line, 20 years down the line, the story will be different. I think when it is kept free flowing. But when I meet a group who are very interested, who are aware about this process and practice, and they come and tell me, I definitely have a structure that, you know, let's go through a 12 sessions, 1 month, 3 months. So I definitely work in both. Whatever you ask me, I operate at both level. I make it free flowing for the people who are coming out of curiosity and want to try it out, where they do not feel the burden of a long commitment, and to people who are aware bunch, they come with a sense of commitment.
So this can be delivered in both the format?
Yes.
And can be customized or curated Absolutely. In such a way.
Yeah.
And as you conduct the session or workshop for the corporates, what do you think that how leaders, corporate leaders, I'm not talking about specific to any domain, it could be from manufacturing, could be from IT, could be from pharma, from any industry. from corporate leaders, how leaders can create a psychologically safe environment.
It is very sad because I go and visit multiple conferences and I see people really talking about empathy and talking about, communication and the same things that, consideration, communication, empathy, EQ. But I do not see a strategy. Like, what are they doing? Are they even aware about where the world has gone and what all can be done for all these words to be made a lived experience? Because now, if you give it into an AI also, that what are the things the leaders should bring in, they'll give some 10 heavy words, jargons. But how do you make it an experience for your team? No one knows. They're still doing a PPT training, and which has become a tick box activity that you have to do so many trainings and you do it. But is the person even engaged? Because until and unless you bring in the body and mind again together, coming back to my topic, then you are just sitting and having coffee and you're disconnected, thinking something else. You're physically there, mentally you have checked out and thinking what to do when your thing will get over. You're not there. So
Means
that is because the leaders are not themselves
maybe
aware.
they are present in
the room,
but they're not mentally.
They're checked out mentally.
Yeah, thinking maybe some of the meeting
Something
other
else.
things.
So for that, you need to engage a person, and you cannot engagement again the moment they feel games, activities. No, there has to be science-backed, body-based work, which if you really want to teach communication, you cannot be teaching communication through a PPT. How do you teach communication? We know all these things. You just have to make space for the people to come, engage, be present. So the leaders are not themselves aware. They have resistance to the word mental health. How will they help their own team? But sadly, the situation is such that they themselves think they are the crazy bunch. If you're going to a mental health worker, or if a mental health worker is coming to a corporate to do a session, they only have those notions. If the leaders are not aware, if they are not updating themselves with what is happening in the world, the teams will suffer. And I am facing it every day. When I go and reach out to leaders, I do not see that they're convinced. And they are not convinced because they are just not aware of what is happening, going on in the world.
Leaders need to be aware first before making the move for their team. And you have done quite a few numbers of workshops in corporate. And I'm sure corporate has got the immense benefit out of it. But there's an issue of, to invest in this segment.
Yes.
The investment becomes a problem for corporate, from any of the corporate. Have you faced any such issue, like about rejection, that you, as you said, that I approached so many leaders, I don't get this, but have you faced any such rejection, or somewhere it was too much of needed, you couldn't convince, or let me rephrase it in this way, that you were replaced probably for the budget issue?
It's a very common thing in my field. I have faced more rejection than approvals so far because, again, that is because of the time of the world that we are in. Maybe again, 20 years down the line, the situation will be different. And as I would call as pioneers who are really bringing it to the corporate world, this is the struggle I think me and my colleagues in this generation will have to go. Because even 20, 25 years back, there would be one counselor, school counselor, who would go to 4 different schools on 4 different days. Now each school has probably 4 counselors. So we have seen that growth. So a time will come when corporate will employ people like us and understand the importance of us. But we are still not there. We are still psychoeducating people. Advocacy is our work, building awareness. But I expect little more openness from the leaders, because therapy, if you think I am crazy and I'm going to fix myself, then it's not going to help. Therapy is something you can go and get a session for more self-knowledge. So one can even explore a therapeutic therapy session to discover who they are. Rather than thinking, I have a problem, I have to fix myself, they can go that, okay, let me find out who I'm really. And when they become open, when they experience so much about themselves, they will want to bring it to their team. After so many rejections, I realized that it is only the lack of awareness that the leaders have. They are not growing.
So
Therefore, their teams are not.
So you had this experience of being rejected by the corporates. As you put up this, the growth, like schools now have more mental counselors. Eventually you expect that corporates will also need it. It's a matter of time. We have not reached that till that stage, but it will be, probably it will be. Now, two very different things. I am thinking one way of a family and I'm thinking another way of a corporate. The two scenarios are, one side there is a family, somebody is struggling, maybe not able to cope up with something, maybe having burnout issue, maybe having a depression issue. I'm not digging up the why factor, it could be for many reasons. Someone from family, how should help to that person? And if the same thing is happening with one of the employee of any of the corporate, how leaders or managers should handle this, not without going to the typical scripted way, how they can help each other. One scenario is from family, one scenario is from corporate.
First, let me talk about the family. So to have that empathy, maybe two sisters have gone through a same loss. One is not being able to cope, and one has probably coped. So there becomes a pressure that, she could do it. Why are you not being able to do it?
And there is a comparison factor coming
Yes.
between.
Or, everyone is going through a same illness. One recovers, one doesn't. Or one has recovered physically but is mentally still in the trauma. What we call usually PTSD, post-traumatic stress disorder. So they say, move on, go out, watch a movie, meet friends. I mean, these are very important. But at the same time, are these happening as a distraction? Are you doing to distract yourself from the real problem? Or are you watching a movie from the love for the movie or from that entertainment purpose? Are you being advised to watch a movie so that you don't have to think about your problem? So, coming from family, it often becomes judgmental and also comparison that he could do it, she could do it. Why are you not being able to do it? Well, somebody's bandwidth could be low and they might need some help. And that's all right. So, initially, definitely, the family comes as a support. But if they see that with that support, this person is not being able to recover, one should go to a professional. Rather than thinking that, meditate, join a gym, eat healthy. These are amazing tips. But a person might, even after these beautiful tips, might still need a professional guidance. So please don't try and fix your family members. Definitely give your 2 cents, which family members will anyway. But after a point, one must know that now I think this person has to be taken to a because this is pursuing chronic.
That suggestion should come from the family that, okay,
ideally, and even if it can come from that person. But the family, if the person has realized that I need to go to a professional but is scared to share with the family, then there is a problem. If the person feels that I think I need professional help, the family should be of support and say that, yes, why not?
Exactly.
Rather than saying that, no, please. What will they share with you what you do not know? Just do some meditation and you will be fine. Join a yoga class. Again, I'm saying they are fantastic tips, but there probably an intervention is required.
Again, this is relating back because of the social stigma, people fear to go or maybe fear to suggest. The suggestion probably for the reason of social stigma is not coming out for the family.
Because we cannot handle that my family member is going through something. It could be something shameful for me. So a lot of people who stop the other family member to go could be their own stigma and belief system about mental health, their lack of awareness. Now coming to the corporate scenario, again, I would use the word that inclusivity in diversity, because every human being is diverse, and that leaders have to update themselves. Leaders have to operate from presence. If they are not present to understand that who is in what state, this person is perennially looking disturbed, then having that one conversation with that person can also change a lot. That where are you feeling burdened? Can I be of some support? And the person might just transform. Or it could be something more graver, deeper, where again the person might need some professional help. So the really guiding without letting the person feeling judged, that I am here. If you don't want this to be disclosed, I will make sure it is not disclosed, but go and take some professional help. And also, because all these sessions are expensive, there are people who also understand they need it, but they do not always avail them. Lack of resources are there, and also money becomes a factor. So if organizations, because every conference I go, people talk about employee first, but when you're talking about employee, are you only talking about these insurances and health policies, or also taking care of emotional mental health? Then you can also, there are greater companies who have psychologists, who have counselors, where you can go and talk to, and it's kept completely confidential. And also, there are amazing companies who have mental health days.
Yes.
You don't have to have a stomach bug or a fever, and yet you can say, I'm taking a leave, I'm not feeling up to it. And you can say it's a mental health leave. Sick leave, we had the CL, SL, and it can be a ML.
Yeah,
so it's
can be mental
amazing.
leave.
There are companies who are coming up with mental health leave. And I'm very impressed with that idea. And why a person has to lie and say that I have fever today? I'm just not feeling up to it.
Another factor which came to my mind, that apart from money and lack of resources, lack of money is one of the factor. Probably people do not know whom to go.
Yes, that is also there. Lack of resources.
Lack of resources, whom to reach. I remember from one of my instances where I was not in India that time. I worked with someone who was not performing well, but he was a super performer. Instead of going through the typical corporate process, like performance management and all, I chose a different route. I took him to over the coffee, I took him to a cafeteria, I talked to him what's going on, and then I came to know he is stressed because of some family reason. And I supported him a lot. It is during the year about 2016, 17, 2017. Now, back then I did not even had a hunch that I'll be having a conversation with you like this. But now I am understanding that, okay, probably I took a different route without even going through a typical performance management from corporate ladder or hierarchy. He improved a lot. He again was back on the track.
I'm so happy and so delighted to hear this experience. It's the eye of the leader. The leader identified that this person needs a conversation. And imagine this situation unaddressed for more 6 months, 1 year. It would have required a deeper professional intervention. But because you identified it early, things
can go crazy.
Got reversed.
Yeah. And few things also, without even addressing it, things can go crazy.
Yes.
Which, to make it reverse, it needs a lot of time. What are the simple daily tips you suggest for the audience who are listening to today's episode? What are the simple, small steps, maybe baby steps they can follow to be on top of it, to be up to date, not to fall into that stress or mental thing? There is no segment in corporate or family life, like simple daily life tips.
The first thing should be, I would suggest, is, first 1 hour of after waking up, do not touch your mobile, no social media. That is where you have, completely drained your dopamine after going through. If you wake up and watch those reels, and then through the day, it will be just a drag. You will not enjoy anything. So the first thing after you wake up cannot be phone. And again, the last thing before bed cannot be phone. So gadgets away as much as you can be away from gadgets. That's the first tip to start your day and end your day. In the middle, you can assign some alarms, or you can download one of those apps which gives you that how many times you actually clicked Facebook, Instagram, LinkedIn. There are those amazing apps which really gives you the clear picture of how much time you're actually wasting away. The next thing I would say is the connection with sunlight. That does a lot of good to us. You know it, you do not know it, doesn't matter. Go get up, meet the sun. Even a 5-7 minutes of meeting the sun can bring about a huge change. And definitely not a 12 noon sun, but a morning sun around 8. Hydration. All the toxins we have in the body, they need way out. And the way it can be taken out is through and by the help of water. So how much are we hydrating ourselves? And the moment I say hydration, it doesn't mean that you're loading up 2 liters, 3 liters, 4 liters of water. It has to have electrolytes, because without electrolytes, they are not going into your cells. You're just adding up your bathroom visits, increasing your bathroom visits, just water. So you need the right kind of electrolytes to be added to your water. Sleep. How is your sleep? If we are up on social media, the blue light is on, then your melatonin, which is your sleep-inducing hormone, will not get secreted, because the brain still thinks it's daytime. And the brain will not release melatonin, which helps you to sleep. So therefore, getting off gadget, wind down, off gadget, yellow lights, when your body is understanding that, okay, it's time to sleep. Exercise, endorphins,
most underrated
serotonins. Yes, because exercise these days are mentioned to lose weight. I mean, losing weight is a byproduct. The first thing is you lower your cortisol, you improve your hormones, endorphins, serotonin, human connections, oxytocin. So all these are very basic. I don't think I mentioned anything that people will say that, oh, I didn't know this. Everything people know. But how much are we doing it?
Yes.
Do not carry your phone to bathroom. I mean, I see people smiling here. So I definitely know. Don't. You are not supposed to spend hours in the bathroom. I mean, don't do it.
And it is said that today's date, people who follow this, taking the phone in the bathroom, the phone has the highest number of germs.
Oh, yes.
They carry always in the hand.
Oh, yes.
More than anything.
Oh, yes. You don't carry, and that lessens your time. The amount of time you will spend in the bathroom will drastically drop. We are wasting time. We could do so many meaningful things. Life is short. Life is unpredictable. So I think, go and experience life rather than getting glued to that one box, one gadget. And our posture, we have become like this. From apes we became straight, and again from straight we have become like this. So the head is the heaviest part of our body, which is again hanging front because of our gadget use. So that is having spine issues, lower back issues, what all issues are happening. So again, coming to gadgets.
And there was a funny trend I was listening to somewhere, I don't recall exactly, that as a part of evolution, the thumb, shape of the thumb and the neck. Eventually will get changed, or may get changed, maybe for the future generations, because always looking at the screen and always pressing that thumb, that could be one of the things.
Yes,
we don't know whether it will happen or not.
It will. It's called text neck. This neck position is called text neck, and it's not helping. It's not helping any of us, our well-being.
We hear some fascinating stories of the entire journey, the process, the need for the counseling, the need for the therapy, again, from microbiology to bioinformatics to this profession. Eventually, you have spoken in TEDx stage, so that took you to the TEDx stage. So you are a speaker, a TEDx speaker. But I believe that everything has its own reflections. What do you think the person you are today, what part of you has been shaped by the failures, then you got success?
Interestingly, I do not have the word failure in my dictionary. I call it learnings.
Learnings.
So yes, definitely a lot of so-called mistakes I've done, and I have learned. I've learned so much from them. More than the right decisions, I think I've learned from the so-called wrong decisions. I do not believe that actually there are any wrong decisions. There are decisions you make, and they take you somewhere. They make you learn something. So everything is a learning. And today, whoever I am is because of all the rights and so-called wrongs I've done. So it has shaped me in the way I am today, whoever I am, because of all the experiences and learnings I have had. So, no regrets.
You don't need to explain in detail, but which part of the failure, what kind of failure or the learning, what kind of learning has shaped you who you are today than your success?
One was, I had this amazing idea, which was not a formed idea, but I knew that I want to do something with dance and for people, and which will have something to do with biology. And today I'm doing something exactly like that. I didn't know what I'm going to do. And just a drive, just that thought has gotten me here. If you are saying failures, I would say that the failures are, the delays, the setbacks, the rejections, seeing the peers really flourishing, and I'm still figuring out. So, all that definitely did put a lot of self doubt. But today, I would say that, I didn't have to doubt myself, because I think that is the only learning, that it has eventually taken its own shape, and I'm exactly doing. I used to think that one is China, one is Japan, one is Russia. How do I even bring them under one roof? I used to only think that I will be a teacher, and then I will pursue dance, and then I will meet people. Everything can come under one roof. What I'm doing today, I didn't know something like this existed. So eventually it worked out. And it worked out because I am very happy that I didn't give up on this idea, because of my resilience, because of the support system, the teachers, oh my God, the fabulous mentors I've encountered who always had faith in me, even when I didn't have faith in me. I just feel that the only thing was the self-doubt part, that I have doubted myself enough, and I have spent time thinking, doubting. I think I could have done without it.
And what would you have done differently, given that chance that you could go back, not out of regret, but because of clarity which you have now? What would you have done differently?
Waste less time in doubting self. Because if I have a thought which is for welfare of human beings, it will find its own way. The right guidances, sources, resources, help, everything will be made available. That is a personal experience. I used to read books. I used to feel that, okay, it has happened for these people. Will it happen for me? And today I can vouch and say that, yes, it does happen. It's just that the only take back would be not out of regret, but out of clarity that, when I again get into that self-doubt mode, I'm like, okay, pause. I don't need to doubt myself so much. Things will, if I have a noble thought, if I have clarity, if I'm authentic, things will fall in place. How? I don't have to worry. It will be.
One fine day, it will fall in place.
It will fall in place. Yeah. Looking back, you will see, thoughts have joined.
Fascinating journey, and so much things you have accomplished. You have taken quite a few numbers of corporate workshops. You have done a huge number of counselings which directly impacted people's life, and group of people, between individually. One final thing for closing. I know there are a lot of things we could talk about. Maybe that would require another episode with you for the audience. So for now, finally, for the audience who are listening this episode, who feel overwhelmed right now, who are successful on paper but struggling or feeling stuck mentally, what would you suggest them to do?
Pause. Take a pause. Slow down. Where speed is really spoken about and pushed in today's society, I think slowing down is a bliss. If you slow down, you will realize how many things are not your original ideas. They are just imposed from the society. And that we cannot understand that when we are in that race. So pause, step back, slow down, and you realize that, okay, this is not even my race. These are not the things I want. This society wants. Our society wants me to think like this. I want these things. That can only happen from distancing, witnessing,
Yeah.
pausing, breathing. So pause, breathe, drink water, and yes, you don't have to really sit. This is meditation. When you pause, step back, it is meditation.
I am sure there are many takeaways from this episode for the audiences, because I personally learned many things. You have done such a great things for the society, for the corporate, for human life. You are literally directly putting impact to the human life. So thank you so much for coming to our show. Big thanks to you on behalf of Bridging Ideas. So,
Thank you, Mr. Shukriyo.
thankful.
Thank you, Bridging Ideas. And thank you for having me to share my thoughts, my story.
Thank you. Take a moment, reflect on this conversation, because sometimes one idea is all it takes to change everything.